Good morning, evening, afternoon, everybody. We are back.
Morning, evening.
Morning, evening, afternoon. We are back.
Combine the word.
We hopefully sound a hell of a lot better.
I always sound sexy.
Matt learned how to use microphones and how to
And
actually
buy
do
different
stuff.
ones.
And bought different ones.
Now everyone can hear me talk about my diarrhea.
I thought we were going to get through one episode.
It's
Just
not
one.
possible.
Wrong.
Just
Just
one.
one.
All right, so
I never agreed to this.
so tonight we're going to do a little bit kind of a different format. Today, the day we're filming this, is May 29th, right? So it is Saturday, I believe.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
what
I don't
day
work.
it is.
So
28th.
it's 29th. My computer fucking says so.
You actually work and you know what day it is.
Yeah, but I live there, so
This is May 29th. Like,
that's wrong.
my computer's not wrong.
It is
The
wrong.
world is wrong.
My opinion is that it's May 28th, so it's May 28th.
Yeah, apparently that's how this works.
Fact.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
You are.
Yeah, there's a computer right there.
Either way, it's going to be
This is
Check
what we
my
really
phone to
fight
make
about.
Sure that he's not wrong.
this is going to be a different kind of episode. So it is the last couple of days of Mental Health Awareness Month, and we've mentioned it before, but a lot of us struggle with our own mental health stories. So what I'm going to do today is kind of tell my story about what happened to me and why I suffer from mental illness, and kind of just it's not I'll get there. Yeah, so there's mental health, there's a stigma on it, right? Huge stigma. You're considered a turd if you are weak, pull your bootstraps up, and why don't you just get better, right? And we all know that doesn't fucking work. So that's what we're going to talk about today. This is it's going to be a sensitive topic for a lot of people. And if you don't like hearing stories about stuff like that, this might not be the episode for you.
There might be tears.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, some of us might cry like little bitches, but that's okay.
Why are you looking at me?
Mostly
We know
because this is
you're
like
the most
the
sensitive.
most convenient way to sit and talk into the microphone.
It's staring at my eyes.
Yeah. Well, there's a bar in front of you. I can't see it.
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, but your eyes are not your best feature.
It's my hair.
It's not.
Jesus.
It's totally my hair.
All right. So get started with the story. The year is 2015. Right? Yeah, that sounds right. End of 2014, beginning of 2015, right? That's when we were gone pretty much constantly, right?
Yep.
Yeah, when we were doing workups. I think from December to August, about when I got out, we were home for a total of 16 days.
Yeah. I went 3 months without having a single fucking day off.
Yeah, most of us did. So the whole time, and me and Brandon, we were both on the same submarine, and it was not a well-ran one at all. As soon as we left,
Yeah, for the second half. The first half was fantastic. When we had change of command, it was not good.
yeah. So this wasn't even like a deployment either. This was just preparing for a deployment. And those of you in the military, especially in the Navy, deployment is usually the easy part. When you deploy, like, you're just on mission and you're not running drills all the time and shit like that. During the workups is when they just fuck with you constantly. So that also happened to be the winter that got so much snow in Boston that they had to start trucking it out. And we were in Connecticut at the time, and Connecticut didn't fare much better. God, it was an awful winter.
Groton, Connecticut. Submarine capital of the world.
Yeah, it's the only thing they have to their name, besides some like Revolutionary War battles. But and all the history.
We got a river.
But so the underway started getting more and more progressively shitty. And like Brandon said, we had a change of command. Me and Brandon were in different departments, but I mean, there's only like 100 and something people on a boat that we know each other. So during these, during the change of leadership that we had in the IT department, we got rid of a giant asshole who at least protected us and backed us up, and we replaced him with a spineless fucking weenie who was the most useless person in the world. You know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
This guy was a fucking real turd bag and a half.
We did the same thing, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. So, like I said, the underways progressively got worse and worse, and nobody was happy, right? Everyone was tired, depressed. I mean, you got to think, on a submarine, we're working. I mean, I was night shift pretty much all the time during this whole time, and I would work from 11 at night to 6 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah, it was,
And then my time to go to sleep would always be interrupted. So just to clarify, the way submarines work, you're either on watch, which means you're doing not your job, basically. And then when you're off watch, that's when you do your job. And then when you're about to go on watch again on that third shift, it's called oncoming, that's when you have your time to sleep. So the way my shift worked out was we were on watch all night into the morning. We had to do our work pretty much until maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. And that's when I'd finally get my chance to go to sleep. But drills usually run at 4 or 5 or right after dinner or any of the fucking times I'm trying to sleep. So a whole bunch of people didn't get any sleep. Really just shitty fucking time. And while all that was going on, Jam was very depressed, dealing with the snow and a new puppy and all this other shit. She's a Florida girl. She don't like the snow.
yeah, and just living in Connecticut. in
It
general.
wasn't just that. It was also working, which I worked from 5 in the morning to 2, got off, and I was going to school for programming to a tech school, but it was 5-week courses, all online. So I would come home, go straight to the computer. Well, not really, because first I had to shovel the fucking driveway 10,000 times and all by myself, and give up eventually because I was like, fuck it, it will melt. Just dig my little car.
You got those flamethrower or something.
No, you get in trouble for that.
Yeah,
So-
some guy did that in Boston and got arrested.
Yeah, and
then
then
freezes
realize
over.
you don't get your mail if you don't clear a path for the mail carrier. They just don't deliver it, which I finally figured out. So I had to go chisel snow because now it's all ice to make a path for him, and then deal with the stupid puppy, and then and then I would get on the computer till midnight because I would forget to eat because I would start at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My schoolwork would go till midnight because I'd lose track of time, so then I didn't eat, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta get up in 5 hours and do it all over again with nobody to help me, because Matt was my only person and all my family lives in Florida and they never called me, so no one to talk to, just the puppy and Carlos and the snow and work.
Yeah, Carlos didn't talk back.
No,
No, he doesn't.
he doesn't talk back. He doesn't do much.
I don't think he ever did.
Even when he was younger, he didn't do much.
Yeah, and with a puppy, they're tearing up the house, peeing on things, and it was just a bad time to get a puppy for one.
Yeah, it was. Hindsight on that one.
Here's a puppy. Goodbye.
Yeah, pretty much, and the snow,
Yeah. So,
Fuck,
Jam
man.
was dealing with all that. So those are the only, one of the few things we look forward to on a submarine is getting sailor mail. Emails from your family or something like that. We don't get them very often. Maybe once every couple of days.
All because I didn't have family.
Well, that's just a bummer. But so we'll get emails rarely, maybe once a week will we actually pull down mail.
As long as Doc doesn't block the buffer.
Yeah, as long as our corpsman doesn't.
Try to get X-ray images fucking sent through the.
Yeah, through this terrible fucking internet settings we have. So we, all that was going on with Jam and back home, that's all the news I was getting. So that wasn't very enjoyable either. So it turned out to be a very, very stressful time. And it kept building up. The stress would just keep building up. We'd be back home for maybe like a day, and then we'd leave again, come back home for a couple of days, and then leave again. And like I said before, on deployment, we're actually doing something. On workups, we're doing whatever some sadistic fuck has in his head that we're going to do today. Because he doesn't actually have to deal with it. He's the captain or the chief of the boat or something like that. He doesn't have to deal with any of that shit.
Yeah, definitely, maybe chief of the boat.
Yeah, probably. Not naming names, but I already said if I ever saw that guy, I would fucking turn his face into liquid. And we'll get why. So, the last underway I was on, the one that did it for me, was it was ORSE prep. Take one, I guess. We had to do that one twice, didn't we? I wasn't on the second one.
Yeah, no, you left after
I left after ORSE prep, take one. So right before that happened, like the underway just before that, me and our new person in charge of the IT department, he was this little old fucker, and he would try to start shit with me. And if you guys haven't seen me, I'm 6 feet tall, and at the time I was mid 200s, right? I was a big fucking dude. And so like the one thing that I always laugh about, right, is we had just pulled in, and all we wanted to do was go the fuck home. Like, we had a couple of days where we were going to be home. I think it was our longest span. We had like 4 or 5 days or something like that. And all everyone wanted to do is just go home and have a couple of shower beers and then go to sleep. And
not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, teach their own.
Not necessarily in their bed either.
So we pull in, and all the leadership just kind of takes off. They have to go somewhere, probably to the squadron building, and get their ass chewed out because they suck or something like that. And so Doc, our corpsman, is leading the cleanup effort, right? And he wants to go the fuck home too. So everything we're doing is just trying to get the boat looking good so we can fucking go home. And our IT leader comes up to me and he says, "Hey, where's everybody at?" And I said, "I don't know, man. They probably went to get a cigarette or something." And he was like, "Why don't you go find them?" And I was like, "I have to clean. Why don't you go find them?" And he got in my face, like right up in my face. And he was like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?"
Yeah, granted, this guy was not a chief at the time.
No, he was not. He was
literally one rank above him.
Yeah. So this guy gets in my face and he's like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?" And I was like, "It's your fucking job. You go find them." I was like, "I have to clean so I can go the fuck home." I was like, "Get your happy ass up there and go find them." And he was like, "You don't ever talk to me that way." And so he started walking away and I was like, "You want me to go find them?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Then get the fuck out of my way." And that's when he turned around and tried to grab at my collar. And I fucking grabbed a hold of that dude, by both of his collars, and started picking him up. And at that point in time, suddenly I got picked up and carried away. Someone legitimately picked me up and carried me out of that situation because they knew I was about to fucking beat that dude's face in. And so then, like I said, we finally blew off some steam after that, and that's when the next underway was the ORSE prep. So tensions were still ridiculously high during this time. There was a lot of animosity between a lot of people. And ORSE prep is one of the worst things ever because all we're doing is painting and cleaning. Painting, by the way, you paint that you are not even supposed to be able to open while the hatch is closed on a submarine. And that's all we do is just paint the fucking engine room because apparently completely forgot that. You probably don't know what that is. It's Operational Reactor Safeguard Examination. So basically, a bunch of people come down and they tell you whether or not you're able to operate a nuclear reactor safely. So it sucks. And apparently, one thing they look for is fucking paint, because paint apparently tells you if you can operate a reactor safely. I don't know.
Yep, paint and clean bilges.
Yep.
That's all it takes to run a nuclear reactor safely.
Yep. So
that sounds correct.
It's not.
Based in science, I'm sure.
Nick gets it.
So
as long as your space is clean, everything's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
Chernobyl, they didn't clean properly. So I mean,
Hence the meltdown.
So yeah, pretty much what happens is like I again somehow permanently on mid-watch would be on watch all night, spend all day cleaning, and then the other shitty part about ORSE prep is it is nothing but drills every day, all day, stupid shit, over and over again. It gets to the point where, because we never announce that it's a drill or not, it's just like, hey, fire, and then everyone gets up because you have no idea if it's a real fire or not.
Yeah, the only reason you know it's a real fire is when like chiefs come running out of chiefs' quarters with like underwear on.
Yeah.
Because if they don't know about it, then it's probably real.
So we would have to do that fucking constantly, right? We'd run drills all the time, flooding drills, fire drills, these drills, that drills, all this kind of shit. And it's exhausting. You're constantly being woken up by alarms and people shouting. But at the same time, when you run drills that much, you start to get complacent. Like everything that happens is a drill. Like we've ran 14 fire drills so far in the past, 5 days. What are the chances that we're going to have an actual fire? Well, lo and behold, we had an actual fire in the galley. And it wasn't a very big fire. Most fires on submarines go out pretty quickly. Just the rare ones that fucking burn a lot of shit down.
Hey guys, there's a fire in there.
Yeah, pretty much what happens. It's like, there's a fire. The problem is the ITs, and if you guys understand this, let me know because I don't. The ITs are in charge of ventilation lineups and atmosphere monitoring. So anytime there's a fire, the on-watch IT actually just grabs a fire extinguisher and runs toward it without absolutely anything. And then one of the off-watch ones grabs atmosphere monitoring equipment and runs away from the fire. And then the other one runs into the fan room where all air, and in case of a fire, smoke, ends up. And he has to like shut a bunch of valves and do a bunch of shit like that. So we had an actual fire. Again, no one really knew, right? So everyone was kind of getting up and like, oh, fuck again. Until like they kind of realized that the galley actually did have a fire in it. So me and the other IT, we didn't know who was oncoming or offgoing, so we didn't know where to go. So I got dressed before he did. So I said, I'm going to go to the fan room. You grab the atmosphere monitoring kit and go to the back. And so that's just kind of how we split it. So I opened the door to the fan room, and it is completely filled with smoke. You can't see anything in there. And on the breathing masks we use on submarines, if you're not plugged in to the manifold, there's like these little air chucks that stick out and you just plug into them. If you're not plugged into them, you're not breathing, right? They seal around your face entirely. And unless that is connected to some source of air, there's no air coming in. And the way the fan room is you have to, there's a big threshold door. Like you can't just open it up and, string something out, especially if there's a bunch of smoke in there. You got to close that door out because it's right behind like control or like, all the people who drive the boat and make important decisions are. So you can't fill that room with smoke either. So I opened the fan room door, shut the fan room door behind me, and that is a room I've been in, I don't know, thousands of times. I could probably still walk into that room now and tell you where every single valve is. And I was lost. I didn't know where I was. It was the entire fan room during ORSE prep like that was just full of shit that they wanted to get out of the way. So it's one of the biggest rooms that we have on a submarine, so they just kind of tuck stuff in there, right? There'll be like uniforms, workout equipment, extra lockers that are in the way.
My golf clubs for when we go to Florida.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's all just shoved in the fan room. And when it was filled with smoke and, it's not, suddenly there's things there that aren't supposed to be there, right? You lose track of where you are completely. And someone's fucking smart idea put a locker right in front of the manifold.
Seems reasonable.
For the air check. So not only did I have no idea where I was at that point in time, right? Because like I'm tripping over lockers and I can't see a fucking thing and I can't breathe. Most important, I can't breathe. So I'm trying to search for this air manifold, right? And at that point in time, we were running around, climbing up ladders. As soon as we realized it was a real fire, like actual panic mode sets in and everyone starts running around. So we're winded. We're trying to gasp for air, and at this point in time, there's no air for me to gasp for. And I legitimately almost passed out. And if I were to pass out, I would have been dead. Because no one would have ever gone in there and found anything to plug me in. I would have just laid there and suffocated to death. And like I said, I was about to lose consciousness before I finally just tipped the goddamn locker over when I figured out where I was and found the air chuck and plugged in at like the very last second. After that, I kind of got grips of where I was, did everything I needed to do, and then we put the fire out, isolated the air and stuff like that. As soon as we cleared out the fan and removed all the smoke, I got my ass chewed out for making a mess in there. By the way.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, they fucking tore my ass apart, and they also said it took me entirely way too long to isolate the air off, right? And I was like, I was telling the chief of the boat, and I was like, dude, you put a bunch of fucking lockers in my way. I had no idea where I was. The whole building was filled with smoke. So what does he make me do? Makes me put a fucking blindfold on there and find my way around the fan room over and over and fucking over again until I can identify absolutely everything in the fan room blindfolded. And I was like, great. Let's just have me do this over again.
That seems right.
Yeah, no.
Not at all.
Especially when there's foreign objects in there.
Yeah, right.
Did they keep changing it? They should have kept changing the
Well, yeah,
maze.
because they kept moving stuff in and out and in and out, and like it's just.
Yeah, that room was never the same.
It was a giant mess.
Yeah. So after that happened, I did not sleep for 5 straight days. And it wasn't from the lack of trying. I would go to bed same time I would always, and I would lay there in my rack until someone came and tapped me on my shoulder and said, hey, you got to go back on watch. I was also sick at the time, too. Had a little cold. So I'm sure that didn't help at all.
By the way, being sick in an enclosed tube is probably one of the worst things I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Because I pretty much, at one point, got pneumonia. I was underway, and they let me sleep for 24 hours. Like, I literally had pneumonia inside of an enclosed tube, and they let me sleep for 24 hours. And then I got bitched out about it.
At least you got that, because I was one of 3 land techs. Sorry, I was one of 4, but one of them wasn't qualified. So I was one of 3 people that could stand that watch, right? And we have 3 shifts. There was no time for me to not be there, right? If I wasn't able to stand watch, then other people would have to go on 12-hour shifts, and you try to do everything you can to avoid that.
I mean, it also literally took me like actually passing out during field day while we were trying to clean. I literally passed out in the torpedo room before they actually let me go to like. I was like, I can literally not like. I could barely breathe. There was so much phlegm. Like, it was awful. And they're just like, oh yeah, be fine. Just go and watch. And then I ended up like suffocating because I couldn't breathe out of like any orifice.
So
It's fucked up.
So, one thing you do when you kind of have a cold or something like that is you drink a lot of water. Brandon, what happened that underway?
Yeah, we somehow, some way, not supposed to be physically possible, but we did it. We managed to pump some of our fucking shit water into our drinking water.
I looked at the diagrams, by the way, because I was in the torpedo room talking to the torpedo room watch when the egging, our mechanic, went down there. He went down there to pressurize the potable water tank so we can actually, get water out of the sinks. And the relief valve lifted, which is normal, right? You pressurize the tanks until you hear it pop and make a hiss sound, and then you're like, okay, it's full, or it's pressurized. And well, the relief valve lifted and it sprayed into his mouth. And all we hear from down there, because we're just sitting up there bullshitting, and we just hear him go, "Oh God, what the fuck?" So we like poke our head down there and we're like, "What's up?" And he's like, "I don't know, but it tastes like shit." And I was like,
That's because it was.
yeah. So they were like, the entire boat was in denial of it. The A-gang senior chief, the chief of the boat, they were all like, "No, it's not possible. That can't happen." And they're like,
it's not unless you have it set up the way that they did.
multiple things have to happen for that to actually work. Parts have to break. Things have to be connected that are supposed to be connected, and things that should be shut should be open, all at the same time. And we managed to fucking nail it. And yep, we sprayed shit water into our drinking water. And so I'm sick. Before we even know what happens, all I'm doing is just drinking water constantly because I feel like fucking shit.
I think I figured out why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we probably had 2 problems. We had a lot of problems on that boat, and more than 2.
Yeah,
That's possible.
I mean, there's a whole nother part of this story that Matt wasn't even around for because he left after the first part of our ORSE underway.
Yeah, this was part 1, right? And here's why part 1 got cut a little short. We got fucking shit water in our drinking water, and we had to turn around and go back. So that happened a few days after the fire, I believe. Yeah, because I didn't sleep until I left the boat. And it took 2 days to get back, 3 days, something like that.
And just for people that don't know, when something like that happens and you pull back into port, stuff doesn't go to normal. You don't go home and just like they keep you there all day, and people like higher ranking people are coming down, figuring out what's going on. The entire chain of command is very uptight because they're. I mean, something like that happens. They're answering a lot of questions from people very high up. They don't want anything else happening.
So, yeah, it took us a few days to get back. So not only was I pretty fucking emotionally scarred from just about dying, and then having to relive that over and over and over again for about a day, I also was not able to drink any fucking water or shower or wash my hands. No one was. We ran out of juice and fake milk about 2 hours after that happened. And basically all they did is they went to our reverse osmosis plant, and they could only fill little pitchers like that you would find at a restaurant of water. And that's what the entire boat had to drink out of, was someone just ferrying up these little pitchers of water.
Of 150 people.
It was like 130, something like that.
Yeah, until we did a drop in Norfolk and got a whole shit ton of bottled water.
Yeah.
But
So-
that was like an entire day where we had like nothing to drink whatsoever.
Yeah. By the way, we also couldn't cook with the water. And I don't know if any of you guys are cooks. It's really fucking hard to cook without water. So all we pretty much ate was fried food.
I just ate pudding. I don't know what it is. Like out of all the food I had on the boat, it's just the fucking giant ass cans of chocolate pudding.
That actually sounds kind of awesome. Not gonna lie.
It was. I mean, it looked disgusting when they were popping it out. It was like,
Oh yeah, it
was
looks like fucking
yeah,
straight up
chocolate pudding.
diarrhea coming out, like thick, nasty diarrhea. But
Oh, yeah,
man,
it's
it's
gross.
good. It's fucking amazing
And
shit.
that's a like fucking mid rats when it was like fucking chocolate pudding and death pillows. It was like my favorite fucking mid rat. Like death pillows, by the way, are ravioli.
Death pillows.
Yeah, we also have hamsters, like little cordon
Yeah,
bleus.
yeah, I know what those are. Yeah.
Yeah, we have lots of weird names for foods. But so, yeah, we had to chug our ass back to port. No one was able to drink anything at all the entire time. And then we finally get back into port, and when we got back, again, all everyone wanted to do was just be like, man, that was fucking horrendous. Can I at least get like a day?
No.
And they were like, fuck no. They kept people pretty much on the boat. Only certain people were allowed to go home. I don't even think we went home that night until close to like 10.
Yeah,
Or something?
The day we pulled in, didn't go home until like super late, and then
We had to be there
after
at like
that, it
3 or
was
something?
it was normal like It was like 6 o'clock muster, and then you were there until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I mean, and they gave us, in the whole week we were there, like they gave us one day off, which was Sunday, and of course that was my duty day.
So we pull back in, and probably understandably, I'm not in the best place in the world. I remember going home that day, right? Someone took me home and dropped me off. I think you were working or doing something. I don't remember. But someone ended up taking me home and dropping me off. Within about 10 minutes of getting home, I drank probably like 9 beers and was just sitting on the couch with my gun in front of me. Just sitting there in silence.
I must have been asleep or something.
I don't remember where you were. I don't think you were there. I don't think you were at the house.
Where else would I be?
I think you were at work. Might have gone home early. I don't remember. But I remember it was during the day. Oh, no. I had duty that day, so I stayed there overnight. I stayed on the boat that night, and I got taken back the next day. So you were at work, and it was like 8 in the morning. So 8 in the morning, I'd already polished off like a 6-pack and a half and was just sitting there staring at my gun and having to be at work in like, I think it was a few more hours. Like they only let me go home for a little bit just to like shower and change clothes because no one could shower and we all fucking stank.
Yeah, I probably didn't even see you.
Yeah, probably not. And then I had to go back. And when I go back, I'm losing track of things I get.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was years ago. But I remember I was about to be on watch. I don't remember what happened. But either way, I was about to go and watch. And watches on the boat, most of the time are armed watches. So we have, loaded guns in our holsters. And I told our chief of the boat and our corpsman, our doc, if I go and watch them, you're going to be fucking cleaning my head up off the side of the fucking pier. Like, I'm not going to make it through that entire watch. There's no fucking way. So they pack me up, take me to the hospital, and just drop me off pretty much. And they're like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
I had to be at work because I remember that.
Yeah.
When they're like, hey, Matt's in the hospital. And I was like, I got to go. So.
Yeah, so they put me in the plastic room for a 24-hour hold. And then they were, when they finally released me, I went back to the boat, told me to report back to the boat and talk to the duty officer. And I talked to the duty officer and he said, okay, be here the boat was leaving the next day. So we were only there for a couple of days, right?
We were there for a week. We pulled in on a Monday, and we were going to leave the following Monday after they cleaned the tanks and everything like that. This was because Sunday was the day that they gave everyone off.
So that must have been around Sunday that all that happened then or something like that. And then Monday, I don't remember. But either way, it was the day that the boat was going back underway. It was that morning that I get back. And I will remember this vividly because the fucking chief of the boat is a giant piece of shit. So I get back, right? I just got released from the hospital. Like, legitimately 6 hours before that or something like that. It wasn't long. And I go down to the boat, and I check in with the chief of the boat. And he calls me into the chief's quarters and tells me that I'm the biggest piece of shit in the world right now because I'm abandoning this boat. And that everything I'm doing, I just need to get the fuck over it. And that I'm a fucking waste of space and I'm a piece of shit. And then he tells me to go get my sea bag and bring it down. That he's not going to let them pull me off. So I go back up to my car, and I mean, there's nothing I can do. I grab my sea bag and I fucking go back down, and I start unpacking all my stuff into the rack, and I'm like, great, this is where I need to be right now. This is gonna be a healthy experience. And then I don't know. I guess someone made some fucking calls, or maybe he was just being a dick and wanted me to fucking carry my sea bag back and forth, which is probably the case.
probably exactly what it was. Like he knew he didn't have the power to actually do anything.
Yeah, so he just wanted
except for torture you.
Yeah, so he just wanted to fuck with me and make me carry shit up and down the boat. By the way, a sea bag when it's fully loaded like that is really, really heavy, and it is about the exact same size of the hatch to get on a submarine. So carrying that thing on and off it's a fucking pain in the ass. Usually there's just like someone at the bottom who's just passing sea bags down. So I carry this thing on the boat, start unpacking it, and then they're like, you need to unpack. Or they tell me you need to pack all your stuff up and get off. You have like 5 minutes, or we're leaving. Like you need to leave now. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I'm already like halfway unpacked into the rack, so I start packing everything back up, fucking crawl my ass back out of the boat, and then they leave, and they tell me to go check into squadron. And when I check into squadron, they made me go see a whole bunch of fucking, mental health professionals and stuff. I call them professionals, but they're military mental health professionals, so they're useless.
Mental health technicians.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I grew up in military medical, and yeah, it's not good.
No.
That's bad.
So,
Well, even for me, I went and saw the chaplain.
yeah, no,
That was my professional help.
yeah, that was the
so.
best place you could go to was the chaplain, right? And if you're like me and you
And
absolutely
you're not
fucking
religious.
hate religion,
Yeah.
Well, the chaplain was the only one that had any kind of pull with anyone. Like, because
True.
the chaplain is an officer, like usually a fairly high-ranking officer too. Like, they're one of the few people that will actually listen to
yeah,
to sailors that have problems like that, and they actually have pull to get stuff done. Like, I mean, it's insane that's the path that people have to take. But I mean,
yeah, that was the only person I could go to. Legitimately, like the entire time this is happening, right? I was talking to our chief of the boat. He knew fucking everything. He knew that my wife was having a hard time back home. He knew that my fucking grandmother was dying. He knew that my uncle had fucking like stage 4 colon cancer. He knew all of this fucking shit. Every single thing about my life, I confided in that man. Absolutely everything, because I thought, as they tell you, trust your chain of command. They're there to help you. And all I got told is that I was a fucking piece of shit. And that was it.
Which is something great to hear when you're already feeling terrible.
and it's not to say too, like even my short time in the Navy, I did have people that legitimately cared. Like my first chief, I don't want to say it. Yeah. He legitimately cared about us. Like if something happened, he would help you out. There's a lot of people that it's just all they care about is setting their numbers and needs of the Navy. That's all they care about. They don't care about people.
Yeah. And, after that happened, right, I got removed from the boat and I got put into a holding company. We call it TDIV.
TDIV?
And it's where, it's called the transient division. I'll tell you the kind of people who are in there. It's split, right? They take people who are being medically separated, people like me who are on, we call it psych hold, and then people awaiting court-martial. So we had like one dude in there who like ran a whole child porn operation. One dude in there was for rape. One guy who was like selling black market guns out of his barracks room. And then me.
The guy that was selling computers and stuff on the black market.
Yeah.
Like he was like just taking the old laptops and just bringing them home and selling them.
Yeah. And then there was people like us, people on psych holds and stuff like that. So they started processing me out. They actually processed me out because I was too fat. Which either way I was going to be getting out, right? But being fat was the quickest way. Like that's like a guaranteed you're getting out in like 2 weeks.
Psychotic break, you have to stay in for a while. Being fat, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, legitimately. Like I was
That's so
fat,
weird.
and basically as soon as my paperwork got processed that I'm getting kicked out, they just gave me a fucking piece of paper that says, hey, in 10 business days, you're gone. And that was it, right? They're like, go find a job. Good luck. And so that's kind of like, really that's where my story kind of ends. But like another bullshit thing I'd really love to add is, they preach this brotherhood of the military, especially submarines, right? Any submariners out there listening, they tell you that, oh yeah, submarines are brotherhood. Once you're submarines, like we look for each other and we help out each other. people legitimately would refuse to talk to me. Like people I would see again, they wouldn't even look at me. They would completely ignore me because I had problems, because I almost fucking died and was emotionally scarred from it.
You chose to take action instead of
Yeah.
going down the path that probably ultimately would have led to you not being here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my story of mental health. Anyone want to chime in?
During that whole thing, I knew that he was having a hard time. I didn't know by that much, but I know I was having my own shit because I didn't have any support either. It's hard when you don't feel like anyone's around to help you. Even though there are people out there that can, but my biggest support is Matt. So when he wasn't around, it was very hard because my family barely calls me. Ever since I left Florida and married him. So they call like maybe once a month if I'm lucky, mostly holidays. So when you have all this stress going on and no one to help you with any of it, then you feel like the easiest way is just to end it all, which a lot of people do feel.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah, when my thing was after work every day, I drove, I don't know, it was like 20 minutes home or something. And I took highways and whatnot. And I was like, what happens if I were to just run into this wall right now with the car? I mean, I didn't really want to die. I just wanted someone to notice. So, like, if I ended up in a hospital, Matt would have to come home. And it's very hard when people tell you you can't do it. Or that you're not good enough. But once you get out of that, and it's good to talk to people, and it's good to know that other people have these issues, because then you realize that you're not alone, and yeah, you're not alone. There's people out there.
Yeah, that's
And once you start living for yourself and realizing that you don't have to be the most perfect person in the world, that helps a lot too. You have flaws. It's okay to have them. Other people will love you for them.
Yes, even the people that act like they're perfect are not.
No, they're
No,
dying on the
There's
inside.
there's no one on this earth that is perfect.
Yeah, it's funny because the happiest people that smile all the time and stuff have like the darkest tragedies or like,
I mean, that's,
or just crying all
Yeah.
the time on like when they're alone.
I mean, you look at it with the famous people in the past like decade that have that have taken their own lives. I mean, and it took a long time even for people to start recognizing within famous people, like even famous people that killed themselves, like the people would be like, oh, like they had everything. What was wrong with them? And like that's not what it is. That's not what.
Yeah.
Like that's you can have everything in the world. You can be rich as shit. Like it's not going to satisfy your brain. Like,
no, money can't, right? And I would always joke before, like I would always say like, oh, poor people, only poor people are the ones that say money can't buy happiness. But it's true. Money can't buy happiness. Nothing can buy happiness. I legitimately right now, all I want in my life is to be happy. I don't think I've been happy in 10 years, like once. I don't remember what it's like.
Yeah, I can. I get it. Mine has always been social situations. I come into every situation as every human being possibly hates me.
Yeah, I mean, I have I have severe social anxiety, and it's gotten. I mean, it already had probably a little bit of it before I went in the Navy, but when you go in and I mean, like I went through with the physical, like I was physically every morning I was getting up and I could barely walk. Like I had so many issues with my feet and ankles, I could barely walk to work. Like, and to get to work, I had to walk across the entire base.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, okay. So those of you who've never been on Groton Submarine Base, the only
Horrible
people.
name, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It
it's
just
a-
sounds
Named after
depressing
the
as fuck.
town, so-
It looks exactly like it sounds.
So to get onto the base, right? You know, you drive by and you look at it and you're like, oh look, there's a bunch of parking spots down there. Yeah, those are only for like super fucking senior people.
Yeah.
The rest of us have to park somewhere on a base that was built in the fucking 1600s, 1700s.
Yes.
Yeah. And
It's
most of
hard
the
to
parking.
navigate around.
Yeah,
for
most of the
sure.
parking is designated for other buildings already.
Yeah.
So there's very little actual parking, and it's one of those things where like I lived on base because I was single. Like I lived in the barracks, and the barracks were literally on the other side of the base, and it was literally easier just to walk across the entire base to go to work.
Well, chances are you had to do that anyway because you'd have to park on one end, right? And because of like 9/11 and all the terrorist threats and stuff like that, and then we had the guy.
It was the culmination of Fort Hood, the second Fort Hood shooting.
That's
and,
right.
The contractor, the guy like stabbed or something at Norfolk, and
That-
that all happened like within like a week span, and they shut down Lower Base.
Yeah, that and there was a guy that tried to rush the gate.
Yeah, no, I remember that one.
There's a guy that tried to rush the gate, and the military police officer's contractor went to shoot at him and shot another cop. Cause yes, missed the guy entirely. Shot another military police officer though. I remember that article coming across, and that was legitimately the only fucking ray of sunshine in that entire underway. Because that was the only thing that I could even laugh about. Because I'm sorry, like that's just fucking funny.
Yeah, no,
little
Especially to
fucked
us
up.
morbid, like, I mean, we're in the military, we're a little fucked up, and then submarines were even more fucked up, and
Yeah.
we probably have the darkest sense of humor of
no, it's
anyone.
that's why I always laugh when like I used to when I would go to golf, I joined golf clubs and stuff, and like these old guys would be like, oh, if you don't have a dark sense of humor, you're probably not going to be able to hang out with us. I was like, you can't handle what the shit that's I've heard or is going through my head. Like, what you think is dark is like super light on in the Navy. Like,
It's bad. Yeah, the military does not foster a culture of well-being or take care of yourself. Right?
No, I mean-
I'll say this every time too. Every single person who makes a decision for the military probably has never been in the military, and you know they'll tell us to go to war and they'll tell us to do all this shit and see all this shit, and they don't care. We're legitimately a fucking number to
Oh,
us.
yeah.
If someone dies on a boat, right? If someone died on a submarine, they legitimately stick you in the freezer. Everyone eats ice cream for a while because we have to make room in the freezer for your dead ass body. And then we unload it whenever we can.
Yep.
We're not pulling over. We're not stopping. And guess what? In fucking a month's time, we're going to get someone to fill that billet. And someone else is going to be standing there in fucking Seaman Timmy's place because he got fucking a concussion because he ran into a pipe, and then our doc was sleeping and never saw him, and they ended up fucking dying or something like that.
Yeah.
Or my personal favorite, whoever this happened to, their family, God, I can't imagine what you're going through. They were doing a drill, and someone got tagged as a man down. And when you get tagged as a man down in a drill, you basically just fall over. And our EMT staff on a submarine are the cooks. So the cooks put him on a stretcher. I think it was a fire drill. So they put him in the breathing mask. And remember earlier, I said, if you're not plugged in, you're not breathing. So they put him in the breathing mask and never fucking plugged it in, dropped him on the wardroom table and left. And the guy laid there on a stretcher, tied down and suffocated. And the only thing that happened was the Navy said, you should simulate putting that on, not actually putting it on.
Yeah, that's comforting to the loved ones at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what everything boils down to is lack of training. That's what every single incident in the Navy
Here's the worst
always
thing.
boils down to lack of training.
Yep.
The worst thing. Oops, sorry.
It doesn't matter what actually happened. Like, I mean, it could literally be someone like going up and stabbing another sailor, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, he wasn't trained not to stab him." And
I mean, you're not. I laugh at it, but you're really not wrong.
So the shitty thing is the family probably didn't really know how he died. They just said that he probably passed away aboard the boat.
Oh, I doubt they told him.
Like, they
Right,
probably had no clue.
They'll bring his boots and drop him off the floor, and the chaplain will fucking have to go knock on the door and deliver the. I mean, easily the worst news a chaplain will ever have to deliver, and it's always a chaplain that does it too. There's probably some traditions for that. I don't know. But the chaplain will drop him off and stuff. But I really doubt that they ever did actually know how he died.
I mean, the Navy, like you said, the Navy doesn't give a shit. Like,
No, there was
I mean, it does they did like an Instagram post. It was like a couple months ago, and it was one of the carriers that it's like congratulations to this carrier for like being out to sea for like 7 or 8 months straight and setting the new record for longest deployment. And they're like, that. I'm like, that's not something to congratulate on. That's bad. You shouldn't have people. You shouldn't have people like 6 months was already bad enough. That's literally half a year. Now you're talking about 7, 8, 9 month deployments. Like,
yeah, and being on the water for that. I was on aircraft carriers too. My first deployment was I was in aviation, and I was actually on the Carl Vinson when they did the Bin Laden raid, and that's where they dropped his body off onto. So like I was on that deployment, and then a little bit after, and on that deployment we were at sea for 100 days straight. I think we didn't pull in at all for 100 days anywhere. Right, all we saw was fucking water. And by the way, when you're on deployment, you don't have. There's no such thing as a day off. Legitimately 7 days a week, and in the aviation field we work 12-hour days, so 7 days a week, 12-hour days. We did our job, never had a fucking day off. And you wonder why fucking sailors pull into Hong Kong and tear that fucking place up every single time. It's because legitimately we haven't had a fucking day off in months. So if you see a bunch of sailors out there fucking getting hookers and being drunk as shit, then like, I mean, I'm not going to condone that and say it's good, but gotta have a little understanding on it.
It'd be like locking someone in a cave and being like, okay, go back and be in society again.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing too. It's like,
it's a good analogy.
You know, they one of the things they always tell us too when we're getting out is like, oh yeah, they care so much that they give you this program, right? We used to call it TAPS, and now it's like TGPS or something like that.
The one that I took online is fucking knowledge online training.
Oh yeah, you did. I actually had to go there. So it's like a 4-day course, and they basically try to force all the stupid shit you've learned out of you. And I mean, I was only in for 6.5 years, almost 7 years.
Way too long.
Oh yeah. I don't know how my dad did it. He did fucking 24 years, but
I don't know how either of my parents. I mean, obviously it destroyed them because my dad is 56 and he's dead now, from a heart attack. And I mean, my mom she's in better health than my dad was, but I mean, she has a lot of issues that. I mean, the VA's
just get me started on the VA.
The VA just kind of like refuse it. Like they're like, oh, when did you go to counseling for this? I didn't. That's why I'm talking to you. If I was already in counseling for it, I probably wouldn't have to go through the VA.
Yeah, the VA.
That's a whole other topic that I could spend a whole podcast on.
I easily could. Ever since, right. So of course you think about what I've gone through, and I talk about what I've gone through. It's pretty understandable that I don't trust people, because the people that I leaned on so hard during this entire time, when I needed them the most, they called me a piece of shit and gave me nothing. I don't trust people anymore. I can't trust anyone anymore.
I mean, it was the same way for me with the physical stuff. I mean,
like
no one took me seriously. Like, it was just, they're like, oh, you're not getting out of this underway. I was like, I don't want to get out of their way. I want to be able to walk without feeling like there's fucking like 80 knives stabbing into my foot. That's the only thing I want. I mean, the one dude who fucking, they kept telling, he was complaining about his side being numb. And they're like, oh, you're just fat and you slept on it wrong. And it turned out he had a fucking tumor on his pituitary gland. Like, the dude literally almost went blind. Like, he was like, and then the first thing they did when they found out that he went to the hospital, his wife took him to the hospital, But they showed up at the hospital and they're like, why didn't you call us first? We're like, why the
What?
fuck would I call you? I'm like, half my body is paralyzed. I went to the doctor.
Wow.
Like, why
Yeah.
would that be my first move? Like, oh, let me call the freaking corpsman on my boat. Like,
Yeah, because they're good at stuff.
Oh yeah. By the way, a corpsman in the military is a high school educated, military trained, almost nurse. Like when they get out of the military, they're actually not even qualified to be nurses.
yeah.
So yeah, some are great, right? I mean, like I'm not gonna shit on corpsmen because you have like the Fleet Marine Force corpsmen, and those motherfuckers are hardcore, and corpsmen save a lot of fucking lives, but they're not doctors. And on submarines, we don't have enough room for a doctor, and there's probably not enough doctors to put on each boat. So we don't get that. We get a dude who's enlisted just like I am, who has a high school education, who probably is trained in like severe trauma medicine more than, like
Regular stuff.
yeah.
I mean, they're trained in just normal basic scrapes and bruises and stuff like that. They're not trained to deal with mental issues. They're not trained to deal with
absolutely not.
major physical issues.
Like tumors.
Yeah,
Well,
like tumors.
even on a submarine, if your appendix bursts, right, and this happens more often than you think. Actually, your appendix can burst on a submarine. They don't actually fly you off. So pulling someone off of a submarine at sea is one of the most dangerous things you can do, right? You have to get a helicopter hovered over a round boat in the middle of the ocean with
That's
giant fucking
also
waves everywhere,
waves,
and then the helicopter's making more waves because rotor wash. Like, it's ridiculously dangerous to do, so they don't do it. Legitimately, they put you in your rack and they pump you full of antibiotics and they hope you make it. That's it. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen someone when their appendix bursts. They're in some pretty fucking severe pain. And they just tell you to, like, legitimately, they probably just pump you full of fucking morphine and antibiotics and then tell you to sleep it off. Like, that's it.
Doesn't that inject poisons into your bloodstream?
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
thought that's pretty much what happened.
That's literally the only thing your appendix does anymore is just poison you. And it explodes. I mean, other than that, it has like no
each
use.
generation's getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, eventually, I mean, evolution will take care of that and it'll go away, but
I mean, it's just like it's the same thing with wisdom teeth. Like, I mean, I was born without wisdom teeth, and it's becoming
my mom,
it's
my mom was the same way.
it's becoming less and less because it's not a necessary thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, no, my mom didn't have wisdom teeth. I did.
Which it confused the shit out of the military dentist when I was at boot camp. Like, they're like, okay, we're probably gonna have to wait. You don't have wisdom teeth? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like, were they removed? No, I'm just born without them. What?
Yeah, because military doctors aren't actually going to know that that's a thing. And by the way, if you're thinking of joining the military, don't let this scare you off. Not everyone's military experience is the same way. There's plenty of people that go through the military and
Join the Air Force.
come out perfectly. There's plenty of people that join the military and come out perfectly fine. And then, there's people like me. And I think I would have come out perfectly fine.
Depends on the people you serve with, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it depends.
a lot of
It depends on who your command is too. I mean,
Well,
like I said, the first year I was on the boat, the command was great. Like I was like gung ho, like yeah, I'm gonna stay in, but once they had to change command, was when I started having a lot of my physical issues, and that combined with the fact that our command was just complete shit now.
Oh god, it was bad.
Like
As soon
that-
as me and Brandon both left, I was working at my civilian job, my first civilian job out of the military, and I think you sent me a message. You sent me like a text or something like that, and you're like, dude, the entire boat just got fired. And I went to the boat's website, because every submarine actually has their own website, and saw that the chain of command was entirely different except for one guy, and that one guy had just checked on.
yeah, I think the new XO was actually the one that like
Dimed everyone out.
went to squadron and was like, what the fuck is going on with this boat?
It was bad. It was really bad.
I mean, it was already bad before that. I mean, like we had the squadron FT, because I was a FT, I was a fire control technician. Like
push buttons.
the squadron FTC was on our boat like multiple times, but within the few months before I got out.
Yeah.
And he was literally like, asking questions about like whether like to decide whether or not that our chief and should be our chief anymore. Like he is legitimately, and I mean he ended up getting removed. Like it's just, I mean it's.
It ended up being a really bad situation, right? And I did, like I said, I did 4 years in aviation, and when I first got on the boat, I didn't think it was that bad. We had the IT senior chief, who everyone thought was the biggest fucking dick in the world, and he was.
I mean, he was, but that was
He was
because
a huge asshole.
he knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, and like I remember I was rebuilding I was like taking apart a hard drive or like rebuilding a server or something like that, and he just like walks up behind me and starts smacking me in the fucking back of the head and screaming battle training, and like I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, it's battle training, and I'm like, what? Like, what battle am I gonna have to rebuild a server in, dude? And he's like, I don't know, and then just like walks away, and like he would do shit like that, and you're like, what a dick. But at the same time, it's funny as shit. Like, I gotta laugh at it later.
Well, and he would also go to bat to you for you if you
Yes.
needed something.
I remember when the XO, it was the old XO. So we had an admiral come on board. I guess this is turning from mental health to sea stories, but I guess whatever. Some of them are funny. We had an admiral come on board, and he fucking like the XO kicks in the door when I'm on watch of the land room, and he's like, "Why hasn't the admiral gotten any emails?" And I was like, because we haven't come up to periscope depth in 6 fucking days.
Yeah, because emails don't travel through water.
I was like, have you got emails in the past 6 days? And he was like, no. And I was like, neither have I. Neither has anyone on this boat.
No, it's amazing though, the amount of people that had no idea. Like they're like we were talking through chat when we were doing one of the freaking drills we were doing like for weapons department. We were talking with people on a carrier, and they're like, how do you get TV down there? And they're like, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, what?
One, where are you going to fit them?
I mean, we physically had a TV, but like,
Wait, 2?
there's no way to get.
Well, you
There's
had
no way to
movies.
get channels down there. Like it's not like we had a satellite dish hooked up that could get the signal through water. Like
Yeah.
Well, one, because people could probably find out where you were super easily in the
Yeah.
ocean
No,
if there was signals going to
if
the
there's
middle of the
signals
ocean.
going in and out of the water and there's shit sticking out of the water, it kind of defeats the entire purpose of our boat.
Yeah, right. We were fast attack submarines. We were meant to be silent, show up, fuck shit up, and then leave.
Yeah, that would be weird. For sure.
Or spy on people. Like, either one of those. But yeah, no, like I was in carriers before then, right? So I remember like, shit, I used to have whole conversations with you when I was on my first deployment, right? I used to...
Yeah, it was a completely different thing between
Yeah, like we
carriers and
could just
submarines.
email back and forth, and like if I felt like it, I could pay money and actually make a phone call. By the way, yes, in the military, if you want to call your loved ones from a ship, you have to fucking pay. Just point that out. It's bullshit.
I have no sympathy whatsoever.
I mean, after being on a submarine, I realized that everything on an aircraft carrier, I used to bitch about how the rooms were small.
Nope.
Nope, not anymore, man. I legitimately, the land room on the boat, like, we couldn't even fit a chair in there. I sat on a trash can because that was the only thing I could fit on. Like a little wall-hanging trash can. It was like fucking like 10 inches tall, maybe. I just took the ass pad from the fucking laundry room and sat on that to do work.
The Naga hide pad.
Oh, yeah. That thing. I'm pretty sure I still have rashes from those.
Fucking Naga swamp ass.
A lot of Nagas died to bring you that back.
So many. I remember when we got. I remember when we were still in the fucking barge, when we were in dry dock, and so the ship was in dry dock, right? It was completely out of the water. They were working on a whole bunch of stuff. So we had like most of the boat was ran off of a little tiny barge over on the side. So I was over on there, and we got the new cushions, and that was a big deal. We got new Naga, and I was like, man, a lot of Nagas died for this.
And then you sat on them, and there was. Yeah, you had to break in the pads.
You did. Like, that's what we did. I remember there was one night,
Like,
it was me and the...
It's the Bob's Burgers episode where they have the new par stools just
we
in
have
real
to, like,
life.
fart them out, right? Yeah, but, like, we actually had to do that. I remember, you remember the sonar guy I'd always hang out with? You know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like me and him were over on the barge that I had just checked on the boat, and like I realized he had Pokemon tattoos, and I was like, I'm gonna go along with that motherfucker, and I did. Right, one of the coolest fucking people I ever met.
All right, he was chill as fuck.
And so like he
Shut
got
up, Nick.
so he was a sonar tech, and sonar and FT just sit on their ass like all fucking day,
Hey, you shut up.
and that's all they do. We make fun of them hardcore too, because FTs typically on most boats get to leave at like fucking 10 o'clock every day.
Because we were at sea rate.
Yeah, whatever.
We did our entire job at sea.
My job was awesome at sea. I legitimately turned off all updates and didn't have to do shit but make sure the servers were on.
Yeah. By the way, for people that don't know, Matt's entire rate used to be a collateral duty for my rate.
Oh, here we go.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you guys fucked it up so much that they had to make new ones.
Yeah,
Oh.
sure. I mean, I didn't do any of it, so I didn't fuck anything up.
Yeah, I know. I love the old most ITs on submarines, right? There's a special job for them. It's called ITS. I don't know why.
I think it's combined now.
Oh, did they finally combine it?
So
Yeah.
different.
I don't know. But so basically, like, it used to be all the fire control technicians, they knew a little bit about computers, so they used to run everything. And then networks on submarines just got way too big, and they couldn't do it as collateral duty anymore, and they had to make a rate for it. And then the radio men got pissed off for some reason. I don't know. There was a lot of animosity between a lot of people for no fucking reason whatsoever. Like, I was just there to do my
I
job.
think that's the case in life.
Yeah, probably.
Should be less animosity, guys, and understanding.
No. Wrong.
This is the problem, Brandon. Right here.
This is the way.
You sound like someone who would storm the Capitol right now. Mental health is wrong. You got a cowboy up.
No, I would never say cowboy up.
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Why don't you just not be depressed or have anxiety? By the way, has
That's
anyone ever?
impossible.
Yeah, like has anyone ever fucking
Yeah.
told you that? Anyone out there with fucking mental illness, right? Has
Probably
anyone
every single person who has ever had it.
Yeah,
for
right,
Sure.
like-
100%. Someone has told you, just stop being sad. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
like,
if I could,
Are you-
I just love being sad right
Are you
now.
feeling better
Thanks.
now? No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
because like one of my favorite things in the world is not being able to fuck. Like I need a haircut. Bad.
Yeah, you do.
Like I really need a fucking haircut right now. I'm looking fucking nappy as shit, and like I won't. I'll never fucking do it, right? Because that involves me going. One of the worst things for me is getting a haircut, right? Because I have to interact with someone I probably don't give a shit about, and I know my. I mean, I have colored hair. You guys have seen it, and I go to a hairstylist and do an actual fucking salon and sit in a chair, right? And getting your hair done.
Yeah, because I make the appointment because I'm getting it done at the same time.
Exactly. That's the only fucking reason I go is because Jam's like, "Oh, I'm going," and I'm like, "Well, damn it, fine, I'll go." And I have to sit in this chair and talk to her, and she's a really like, I like her a lot. She's really nice, but God, she talks so much, and she's so bouncy, and she's just so fucking
The
upbeat.
opposite of you.
Yeah, she's
Oh.
like, yeah, she's
you
like,
feel drained after you
I
deal
do.
with them.
Yeah, and it's like I feel exhausted when I leave there, and there's nothing wrong with her. Like I said, I love her. She's great, and she does good hair and all that. But like, I just can't. Like sometimes it's just fucking too much. I'm like, I can't do it. And like, if you've ever had that feeling, like you said before, you legitimately paid for something for months before you know,
Canceled.
like you cancel
Or
it,
like
right? Or
Nick
like
said,
Nick,
he
you've
just
changed your
changed his card.
I've done that before. I paid for a gym membership for what, a year
We
and a
did
half?
do that,
because
and we
I
never went.
I never wanted to go in and talk to them because I knew they were going to try to be like, well, why don't you go to the gym and stuff like that. And I didn't want to deal with it. It was too.
Usually we say, like, because we did finally go, because you have to go in. You can't just call them. You can't
Yeah.
fucking do it online. Like, you either send a letter, which is stupid. I don't know who sends letters anymore. I'm sure there's a few people, but
Me.
I don't. Other than spam.
Anyone who has to deal with the VA.
I mean, I cancel a lot of stuff through letters.
But we went in finally, and instead of like when they're like, "Why are you canceling?" We're just like, "We're moving out of the state because we know this gym is only in this state,
Yeah,
and we
right.
weren't moving out of the state. We fucking lie, and we say we're moving out of the
Yeah,
state,
like-
so there's no questions."
We have to
And
do
they're like,
these-
"Oh, okay."
We have to do these mental I have to figure out, every time I fucking call someone to do anything, I have to figure out what to say to them, be it fucking true or not, to make it the shortest conversation possible. Because
Yeah. It's hard
like
to
it's
talk to
physically painful to talk to people. And like I said, I didn't used to be like that. I didn't. I could call people. I could talk to people.
I've always been like that. I can't talk to people on the phone. I don't like it. When I start a new job, I usually don't talk to people for like 3 months. It's legitimately 3 months. Once I figured out everyone's like who's who and what I can say to them, then I'll start talking.
Yeah.
Because by that point, they like me and, you know, I'm not going to fuck it up. So 3 months. And then like I've had jobs where I quit soon after that and they're like, man, why didn't we get together sooner and hang out? And I was like, I don't know, no one talks to me because I don't talk to them because I'm trying to figure you out.
Yeah, right. I remember at my first squadron, it was probably like, it was until I mean, you know who I'm talking about, my bromance.
Oh, him, yeah.
Until
he
he
hung
showed
out
up.
with him more than you did me.
I
for sure,
legitimately did. We worked
100%.
12-hour shifts together, and then we would go out at night and like fucking drink all night, and
Yep.
then like I would wake up and me and him would drive to work together and work another 12 hours. Like I legitimately saw that guy constantly.
His true love.
He's he's easily one of my best friends ever. I haven't talked to him in a long ass
The
time.
one that got away.
But me and him got along great, right? We're fucking best friends during that whole time. But until then, and he didn't show up I was at the command for like a year. I legitimately didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like I just sat in a corner the entire time because I didn't know what to say. And, you know, I'm not the only one out there like that. And, you know,
So
us
many.
at this, I mean, fuck, there's 4 people at this table who are
Mostly
like
the
that.
IT people, for sure.
For me, it's like my current job, right? I deal with public, I deal with people. And
It's terrible.
the reason why I don't go out much, the biggest reason, is I am physically and mentally exhausted by the end of the day. Like I said, earlier is when I come at everything is these people don't like me, so you know I don't want to deal with them, and I don't talk a lot. I don't be around them a lot. Yeah, and now that I've been working with these guys for 2 years now, I still feel that way. I just talk more, right?
Yeah.
I just say fuck it, right? There's a point where you're like, you know, just fuck it. You hit fuck it. And one of my very best friends now works there, so I know that they don't all hate me. So
Just literally, what birthday is this? It's the fuck it birthday.
it's the fucking birthday. There's like a
It's
point,
the fuck it work anniversary, you know?
but they still don't understand, right? Like everybody thinks I'm just sensitive. It's not. I'm not.
You are sensitive.
I'm really not. I could care less.
He's
right?
not at all, trust me.
Yeah,
I've known this guy literally my entire
Well,
life.
it's
I'm not. I'm brutally honest most of the time, and even then, I'm almost like that autistic honest, like where I'm just honest. And
you're
Nick,
like, why did you say that?
that's really mean. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You know.
It happens.
I mean, like,
Can't handle the truth.
I've said it before, especially in this group. Like, I think most of us, some of us, all 4 of us at this table right now, we're on the spectrum somewhere.
Some probably.
Probably. A
Every
little
one of
bit.
us, easily. Like, I know for a fact because I don't know if I really don't think I was always this way. I can't remember though, but like I've turned into one of the biggest assholes ever, especially at work. Like, and you know, when I started my last job, I guess I'm idealistic to a fault, right? So I started that job and I was, you know, their security architect and they were not performing to what I would expect a company at that caliber to perform at, and I kind of made a big deal about it. And they ended up firing me for it. And you know, they fired me telling me my style of communication was not a fit for the company. So basically, they told me that like, sorry, because of all the shit you've been through in your past that has turned you into this fucking untrusting, jaded asshole. We don't like that. Sorry.
Yeah, well.
You should just leave.
Oh, it's funny because, like I said, since I don't talk to people for like about 3 months, they barely get to know me. I don't open up until around then for work. It's funny because they're like, "Oh, you're the most innocent person ever." Because you don't. The quiet ones, they're like, obviously.
Did you say innocent?
Yeah.
No,
No, people
everyone thinks
talk
Jen's
to me all the
innocent.
time. Yeah, they're like, no. And then when I actually open up, I'm actually a fun party person who talks about sex all the time.
The
And
most ruthless insult in my life
it
came
was
from
funny
that woman.
because
I'm a fun person, damn it.
the one of our icebreakers, because for some reason they do icebreakers. I don't know why. At
Build
work,
that culture.
Well,
it had something to do with. Have you ever met a celebrity? The only celebrities I've ever met were at the Adult Entertainment Expo. So I was like, I think we should skip me because it's not safe for work. And then of course everyone's curious because they're like, this innocent girl, what could not be safe for work? You know? And I'm like, we'll talk about it later. I was like, I know porn stars, and they're like, what? And then they just like moved over it, and they're like, we'll talk about it at a happy hour because they think now, obviously, I've done porn. Obviously, I haven't, by the way. So. I mean, you could try to look it up. I have. I mean, I'm not against it. We just never have. So.
No offense, I don't want to see your naked ass, Matthew.
oh man. So
We're gonna do like softcore where we don't see anything of the guy.
yeah,
It's like cut to black
dry
screen.
humping
No,
all
I'm
the
just
time.
kidding.
Yeah, so I used to weigh a solid 338 pounds. And then I went to a doctor and they said, hey, we should probably just cut like most of your stomach out because we can't trust you around food. And I was like, no, that's fair. And
Food is delicious.
and so they
That's the whole point.
they took 85% of my stomach out, and so I was like, cool. And now I weigh 178 pounds, and I'm like, I'm skinny. The only problem is I used to weigh 338 pounds, and my ass looks like someone blew up 2 balloons, left them there for a week, and then just let all the air out.
2 blown out mud tires.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm saggy. I'm sorry. Anyone who thinks I'm attractive, like, just picture me with my shirt on because it doesn't get better with it off.
He's all going at it. You just hear his butt slap. It's
Seriously, like, my stomach looks like a tube sock if I'm doing push-ups. It's gross.
I don't like where this is going.
I don't want to see any of this anymore.
We were
But
You're
talking
not-
about mental health. Now we're scarring people
yeah,
for life.
now we've ruined
No,
everything.
we're just letting people know they're not alone.
Not alone. with
You
saggy
could
asses.
also, maybe, it could be a
No,
thing.
well,
and people will love you for your
it, right?
flaws if you find the right people.
That's it, right? Because, like, yeah, am I saggy? Yeah. Am I attractive with clothes on? Yeah, I think I'm pretty good looking now.
Yeah.
Shut up. I'm the hottest one here.
I
I
don't
am
agree.
dead.
I mean, besides,
Sexy.
yeah, I'm the hottest guy here.
I am dead sexy.
All right, fucking Gandalf, a white.
We already discussed your small condom. So,
But
It's a play.
I'll be the first one to come out and say it. Like, I'm far from perfect at absolutely everything, including looks. I used to be a gigantic fat man, and now I'm not. And because of that, I don't look as good as I should, right? I ruin my body by the time I'm fucking 31, and I have to live with that for the rest of my life. But you know what? So what? And, you know, I have to live with all these mental health issues for the rest of my life. But these are things that a lot of people have to deal with, and we need to get rid of the stigma for it. It's so
Yeah.
bad that the fact that,
you should
You
be
know,
able
like-
to go get help
yeah, going to a
without
psychiatrist.
being ridiculed for it.
Yeah, finding a psychiatrist to go to was one of the most difficult things I found. There's a reason I didn't go to a psychiatrist for so many fucking years. And it's because I couldn't find one that I liked. Like, legitimately, before I found the doctor I'm seeing now, which I love her, she's awesome. Before that, I had to, legitimately, I don't sleep. I still don't sleep, right? I didn't sleep for fucking 5 days straight. And since that day, since the day of the fire, and since the day I almost fucking died and suffocated myself to death, I have not been able to sleep at all. I'm terrified that something's going to happen when I'm asleep. And, you know, like being constantly woken up all the fucking time. And then, you know, being woken up and then, you know, within 5 minutes of waking up, I almost died. Like, it happened that quick. It legitimate. It's probably even less than that. It's probably like 2.5 to 3 minutes from waking up. I almost died. And sleeping's hard. It's legitimately hard for me. I no shit have to take. The only way I've been able to sleep is through sleeping medication and marijuana at the same time. And that's how I sleep at night. That's the only fucking way I can sleep at night. But I legitimately went to a psychiatrist before I found this doctor here in Phoenix, and she told me I need to practice my yoga breathing, and that's going to solve everything. And I was like, fuck you, you fucking kook. Like, God, what a quack fucking... And that's what we see. And then you do find a psychiatrist, right? And you finally find a fucking good one. And then they're like, oh, sorry, we don't take insurance because insurance doesn't accept fucking mental health plans. Yeah. And, like, so I finally found a doctor who's good. I like her. She helps me. She understands what I go through because she's a clinical fucking psychiatrist. She's worked with people like me before. She knows that, like, I've been through some fucked up shit, and I have a lot of fucked up shit going through my head all the time. I always think I'm a piece of shit, no matter what.
She realizes it's a medical condition, not that your fucking chakras are out of alignment or some shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know how hard it was to fucking find one person. And I'll tell everyone, like, go see her. She's great, and they take insurance. Like, honestly, like, I don't care. Like, if you even have to, like, her fucking scheduling is gonna fill up like fucking crazy, but like, I don't care. She's awesome, and she takes the time. She listens to me. Even, we're talking about medication management or something like that, because that's the phase we're on right now, is trying to get me a little more stable. But at the same time, even in these 20 minutes appointments, she'll take extra time. She'll go over and cut off someone else's appointment just to talk to me, to see how I'm doing right now, to help me out and give me advice and talk me through some stuff. And it's such a fucking change. Like, I've never had that before, and I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, the fact that I had to... How hard is it to find a primary care doctor? It's fucking easy as shit. Like,
it depends.
If you're a woman, it's a little more difficult. Women's health...
For sure.
Women's health in the United States is pure fucking trash.
Yeah, unless you're, like, it's basic health care. All right, our whole system is just fucking trash. Like,
True.
Like, I mean, women's health is...
Needs help.
I mean, women's health is almost worse than mental health at this point. Like,
It's close. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, and then they're trying to make it. I mean, people are trying to make it worse. Like,
That's true.
That's another topic.
we're not going to get into that today.
Yeah, and going to see a psychiatrist doesn't make you a bitch. It doesn't make you a fucking pussy. It doesn't make you anything. You get sick, you go to a doctor, you take medication, you get better, right? The fact that, I take pills throughout the day, but ever since I've been on those pills, I haven't yelled at anybody.
That's true.
I haven't screamed at anyone.
Here's a crazy thing too. You don't have to tell anyone you're going. If you're like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be
true.
ashamed of it, but if you are, you don't have to tell anyone. You can just go. They can't go be like, hey, we got this guy going to our freaking clinic now. He's a freaking nutcase.
Let me tell you a story. Before I moved to Phoenix or Arizona in general, I had a job, very good job, made a lot of money. I was very successful at that job. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but making money does not make it a good job.
Excuse me. It was a very good paying job.
There we go.
And I was very good at it. But I started having issues because I was working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day minimum, sometimes more. And I started having just issues. And at the time, I was having, girlfriend issues. It's about nearing the time when my ex and I split. And I just had a lot of other things. So I started seeing somebody, but I'd have to leave early, 2 days a week. 1 day a week, every other week. So every other Wednesday I would leave at 2, see my doctor at 4, because I worked very far away, right, from everything. I had to walk extremely far away. Okay. Are you good?
Oh, you're good. It was me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. And eventually my employer started getting annoyed that I was leaving, because how dare I leave early one day after working like 6, 10-hour days every day for 3 years.
What a dick.
He was a fucking dick. We can go
But
there,
a lot
but
of people are like that.
he was.
That was the thing we talked about, how
well, a
people
little
don't
bit.
want to leave work. So
And one day they fired me. They just fired me. They never told me the real reason why they fired me. Now I know the real reason why, and I could have sued the shit out of them, but I didn't know. I didn't know until like 3 or 4 months later. They fired me because they thought I was just leaving early, just to leave early to go be with my girlfriend. I wasn't. One of the reasons my relationship suffered was because I work all the fucking time. The other reason was because, well,
Yeah, there's
there's
has
so
her own
many.
issues.
But
So I just want to, we can make a note of that. My brother's ex-girlfriend is my wife's sister.
Yep.
It sounds weird, but it's not.
it's really not.
No,
It's a rural Jacksonville thing. It's fine.
No, it's, I mean,
just kind of happened.
yeah,
It's-
it happens a lot. I mean, shit, I have,
Yeah.
You
shit
know,
ton of
because we
people
were
in our
hanging
family
out
that
as family members, and you
Yeah,
get
it
to
just
know
kinda
my other
happened, yeah.
family member, and you're
It
like,
happens.
hey,
She's cute.
I like
I
her.
mean,
It happens a lot.
It happens.
It actually happens a lot. And like when I've said that before,
People
like,
you hang
oh
out
yeah,
with.
my brother's dating my wife's sister, and they're like, that's weird. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I've
it's-
heard that a lot
it's
too.
Not at all. Like,
it's not
they're
at all.
not fucking related.
Yeah.
No, we're not related by blood, and we're not even related by anything. I mean, they just happen to be.
Oh yeah, we were related by marriage, which is a
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
No,
whatever.
no.
pile of bullshit.
But
We'll get to marriage later.
So I lost my job, and I got darkly depressed, like down. Like I already thought everybody hated me. Now I'm like, okay, now I've just confirmed that everybody hates me. My dog got cancer. She lost part of her foot. And it was pretty rough. That was a rough time because as I'm dealing with the loss of a very good-paying job, I'm now making a hell of a lot less. My dog nearly dies. And then at my lowest point, I'm like down in the dirt. I have nothing left. I can barely function. My ex leaves me. So that December, I hit fuck it. And by that time, Matthew was, Matt and Jan were like, hey, why don't you come out to Arizona? Because I had nothing left. They knew. I mean, I think they knew. I'm pretty sure they knew.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
you had to get out of there for sure.
By the time I got to Phoenix, I was a walking human disaster. There wasn't much left of what I used to be. I just was done. I was done mentally. Like I said, I thought everybody hated me. Now I confirmed it. Everybody hates me. So I'm here. I'm trying to rebuild myself. And, of course, debt because of making a six-figure income, and now all of a sudden I'm making $30,000 a year. There's some debt that's going to start cropping up. So, I had to sell everything I owned, come out here, and literally that month of December, before I came out here, I didn't think I was going to make it. Like, I was pretty sure I was done. Like, I probably would have just disappeared, and no one ever would have known what happened. I was done. I had it, and there was nothing left for me to do. I was like, this is it. I mean, I've been in a relationship for 5 years. I put 10 years in that job. I made that company a lot of fucking money. My little dog, I loved her to death, and she's going through her shit, so I'm trying to help her get better, which was not fun. And now I have a house that I got to make a mortgage payment on. I'm trying to go back to school to learn something new because I need to learn something new. I made a mistake there. I shouldn't have done that at school. But I did. I was done. And these two helped me out, bringing me to Arizona. It was like a breath of fresh air. I was in a place where nobody knew me. Nobody cared to know me. That community welcomed me a lot, especially the younger people in that community. Because I owned a company I built a company there that they wanted and needed in that city, and they embraced me, and it really kind of brought me back. And I always say that it kind of saved me. That was a rough, like one of the worst times of my life, and it's still. To this day, it's still a little traumatizing. Like I haven't dated anyone since. I haven't bothered. I have any interest in it. Literally zero. Yeah, there are girls I like here and there. Yeah, absolutely. But I want nothing to do with it because that was such a traumatizing experience. And I went through so much shit that I just don't bother. I'm 40 years old and I'm just like, fuck that shit. I'll just live the rest of my life with my dog. I don't give a fuck.
One of the
Dating is a massive drain, especially
Oh,
for
it
people
is.
with social
Yeah.
anxiety.
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that one of your loved ones let you down.
Yeah,
Said that you're not good enough for me.
Yeah, you end up with trust
It's a
issues.
lot of, because even my issues are a lot with my family letting,
Yeah, it's kind of
saying things about me. So
it's man. That's why I haven't been in a relationship or on a date since 2014 when I broke up with my last girlfriend. Like, because it's, I mean, I put so much effort into it, and it's like, I mean, it's at the end, literally the end of every day, I'm just drained, and like it's hard to find people that can understand that, like that will give you the space to deal with that, like, and I can't go out to like hang out with your friends like freaking 3 days in a row. Like I can go maybe one, and then I need some time to myself, or at least just the two of us.
Yeah. Me and Matt got really lucky on that.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of stuff
Where
too.
we can sit on the couch together and not talk, and he's playing whatever he's playing, and I'm watching some movie on my laptop.
Why is that so hard for people to just deal with doing your own thing? Like,
it actually unnerves people sometimes. Like Nick used to go.
I used
out,
to always laugh. Yeah.
He used to go out for walks, right? He would go out for a walk when he used to stay at our place for a while when he was getting his life back together, and he would go out for a walk or a jog or something like that. And me and Jam had just finished dinner or something like that, and we'd be sitting on the couch, not talking to each other, just like playing on our phones, or I'd be playing video games or something like that. Or she would be playing video games, I'm just watching her. And then, like, legitimately, he would go for like a 2-mile walk and then come back, and we're in the same exact position, still haven't said a fucking word to each other. But
that's okay.
It's okay.
I don't need to have constant conversation all the time. I actually like being alone sometimes. Like days when you gotta like go take the dogs to the vet or something like that, I'm like,
oh yeah, everyone needs their alone time.
yeah,
for
like
sure.
it's nice for me to be alone, and some people don't understand that, and
a lot of people don't understand.
yeah,
that,
and that's a big
really
difference.
Irritating.
Yeah, it's a huge difference between.
I think it's the extroverts introverts thing.
It is. Yeah, it's introverts versus extroverts, and I'm incredibly introverted.
Yeah, same.
Which is
All of
funny
us
because
here
I'm here fucking telling absolutely every part of my fucking deepest, darkest secrets.
You know what's funny is I thought with her, and especially her,
Yeah.
I thought I had someone who understood that.
Well, because
she's a little narcissistic about her problems.
My sister is artistic for sure.
Yes, definitely on the spectrum.
Yes, so she has her social issues too. Like she's not very good at recognizing facial expression or sarcasm, or she feels a lot. Her emotions are strong emotions.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I have that same issue. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, I could sit there and tell, like, especially like when I was in high school and stuff, like, I could tell when people were interested in each other. But if someone could literally like
do the same thing,
they could do everything, like, except for come up and be like, "Hey, I like you." Like, and I
And
would
you
have
wouldn't-
absolutely no idea.
I was the same way. Like when me and Jam started dating, it's funny because me and Jam started dating in high school, but legitimately, like, I've never dated since then, right? Because we got married.
Oh, I hadn't either.
Yeah, right. So like,
One of you is lying.
No, for sure.
Lies.
we've
100% true. Matt was my first boyfriend. So
yeah, and
there's
like Jim
that.
was my first real girlfriend, and like honestly, I mean, it's gonna sound.
I had given up at that point. I liked a lot of people throughout high school, and I tried, and I was like, I give up. I fuck it. None of them like me. I'm done. And that's when you find someone. So just give up.
I mean,
I'm just kidding. Don't
literally
give
A
up.
long time ago.
I mean, when I was in high school, I literally had a girl that was like, "Hey, I like you," like, and I was like, "Okay," and then she just walked away.
No, like
I did literally nothing with it. Now, like, I think about it now, and I'm just like, "What the fuck was I doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no, there's always those.
well, back in
hindsight
like
moments.
third grade, I think was the first time I told a guy I liked him, and like I got made fun of so fucking much that it's just like why?
Yeah,
why?
and
well,
it's
like,
those.
elementary and middle school kids are just awful.
They
Oh,
are
yeah,
They're
100%.
They're literally the worst.
I think humans are just terrible in
Well, it's 'cause
general.
they say shit and they're like, it's like entirely accurate. Like, it's not like, it's not inventive.
Oh, they
They're
just
like,
tell
they're
the
just
truth.
Like,
It's so
they're
fucking
like,
brutal.
They're
yeah.
like, your eyes are too close together. They're like, the fuck?
And you're making me self-conscious about my eye gap. God damn it.
Well,
No,
because that's all they see. They're just like, I'll tell you exactly what's wrong
no,
with
but
you.
like plenty of people go through that.
Yes.
That stuff. Like but what I went through was a very extreme, and like I understand that not everyone has almost fucking suffocated to death and then had to relive it for the next day and a half.
It could be something simple that just bothers you a lot.
There's so many things that can happen.
People say the wrong, like, something to you, and it stays with you.
Yeah, like, there's times I've had friends and stuff, and not all my friends, some of them, I don't understand it, but some of them are just completely free of depression and anxiety, and they don't give a shit, and they're like, oh yeah, whatever. And I'm like, I don't get it at all. Like, it fucking boggles my mind that someone like that can exist, because to me, that's not fucking possible.
I'm pretty sure they're in the minority, or you don't know their deepest secrets when they're at home alone.
Everyone has hidden stuff. I mean,
it's all. But it still boggles my mind that that's a thing, and like, those are the people that are always, those are the people that are going to tell you, oh, why don't you just stop being sad? And those are the people that don't fucking understand it. Yeah. And
or the quotes are like, oh, it's not that you don't have time or the energy, you just don't want it enough.
Well, it could be.
Yeah, that, and
what does that mean?
Oh my God, like, look on LinkedIn, and that is the most fucking, God, all of LinkedIn is the most, like, mental health bashing people ever. Like, oh, sorry, you got to wake up early or else you're not productive. Oh, yeah, sorry, I was so fucking depressed I couldn't get out of bed until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I've had that.
And I still did more work than you.
Yeah, and it's like, like, people like that, like, manic depression, people without it don't understand what manic depression is, to be fucking elated at one moment and fucking hate yourself and want to kill yourself the next. And it's, I don't know, talking about it really helps, and knowing that you're not alone out there. There are other people out there who suffer through this the same way you do.
Well, it could be like that generation gap thing too, because even when my dad came out in Connecticut, he did fly out one time, and when he found out that I was having all these thoughts, he was like, oh, you have them too? Because he's never really said anything to anyone, because one, he's a guy, and two, he's a different generation of guy.
It's non-existent in that generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and it made him feel better just knowing that he wasn't alone either.
And it's very hard to be a guy and admit that you do have mental health issues. Like, everyone looks at men like we're supposed to. You also got to think that I come from a military background too, that we have to be this fucking macho leader. And I mean, shit, in World War I, when soldiers came back from World War I, they called it shell shock because they refused, legitimately, a quote from the fucking president said, no, it's not possible for mental trauma to be in our soldiers because we train it out of them. So they called it shell shock. Because no, it's not their head being fucked up. It's not that they're depressed and that they saw people being blown up all over the place. It was the explosions rattled their brain. That's what did it. Mm-hmm. And, that's the shit that we had to, I was trained with, they trained me for, and that I grew up with. And, that's what we look at men to be. You can't talk about your fucking feelings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't like, in the eyes of most people, you can't be anything if you're introverted. I mean, I had a guy that when I was working at Amazon, like, and he literally told me, he's like, if I was interviewing you, I wouldn't hire you because you don't talk enough. And I was like, what does that have to do with my ability to do the job?
Yeah.
Like, what? I've met tons of people that are introverted that can manage entire companies, and you're telling me that you wouldn't hire me because I don't talk enough? Like, that's just stupid.
Well, I had a manager recently. We had training. We had this fun training where we get to fill out a form to tell us about our letters. What was that called?
The fucking
stupid Briggs. Yeah.
By the way, if you believe in any of that shit, go fucking.
I mean,
Jesus,
a little insight into yourself, sure, but it's not a fit one size. It's
Myers-Briggs
it's like
test is
it's
not
almost
science.
like having your horoscope read.
It's pretty much the same thing.
I mean, so anyway, besides that, so we had this exercise of introvert, extrovert, stupid shit, and they're like, oh well, introvert people, we should pause for them because it takes them longer to absorb the information, and that's why they don't talk, because it's taking them longer to form thoughts. And I was like, no, one, it's not because we just don't have anything to say, or, Honestly, it's because we don't have anything to say to you.
It's
That
because
or-
a lot of people have filters.
We don't think slower. I'm sorry. That is not a thing.
No, that or we're afraid that you're going to say something like we fucking think slower and judge the shit out of us for
Right?
it.
Yeah.
Some
that
of the
was an interesting
greatest
meeting.
artists in the world. Neil Peart, one of the greatest drummers to ever walk this earth, right? Was the shyest human being ever. After every Rush show, he would wave and leave, and he would not stop running till he got on his motorcycle and drove off. He never stayed after a show, and he used to always say, a person who isn't shy will never understand a person who is. And it's true. That is the truest thing I've ever read in my life.
Yeah, no, and that's for sure. And I think I have no idea how long we've been going. I actually haven't been keeping time.
And some of the greatest geniuses, I mean, you look at like your modern songwriter, you're going to tell me a guy like Adam Duran's is stupid? You're going to tell me he's dumb? He's not fucking dumb. That's an intelligent human being who thinks very quickly. He just probably doesn't like to be around people. I understand.
Some people don't talk unless they have something to say.
that, and especially if you've been burned by other people.
Yeah, and
If
you
you've been
don't.
burned by other people,
You're like, why bother?
yeah, your entire mentality changes, especially people that you care about or you trust. And it's hard to come back from that. I still haven't come back from that. We're talking how many years later? Like, great, you can tell me to fucking pull myself up by my bootstraps and get over it all the time. I can't. You know, like the VA has said I have severe post-traumatic stress disorder. I am legitimately rated permanently and totally disabled because of that. The VA thinks that I am not able to function in society because of that. And I'm not going to totally disagree with them because I've had experiences where I have to function out in society and I'm really not able to. And it's because shit like that. And telling me that I learn slower or I don't absorb information just as quickly.
Oh
You
my
can kiss my
God.
ass. Like, I was easily one of the most successful cybersecurity engineers at any company I've ever fucking worked at. Like, I know more about half that shit than anyone else out there could even think about. And I don't learn slower. I probably learn faster than most everyone else out there, but I don't do it in a way that you recognize.
Right.
You know, like how many successful businesses have I've run? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more that people need to recognize these issues and start accepting them and trying to understand the other side.
Yeah, start accepting that there is no normal. Like,
That
you
is
can't-
true.
you can't
There's
make- you
no such
can't-
thing as normal,
You can't
guys.
make people just because people aren't like you doesn't mean that they're wrong. It doesn't mean that they're broken, that they're useless. Like
It just
you
means
have
they're
to-
not like you.
you have to you have to learn to accept people. You have to learn to work with people, and I mean it's insane the amount of people that just can't. It's just a basic concept. Like you're taught as a kid, like to respect others and to treat other people the way you want to be treated.
And then we throw it out the window when we get older.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
this is basic kindergarten concepts, and people can't do it as adults. Like,
we get older and then tell people that they're fucking broken and they don't work correctly or the way they talk
Or
isn't
they're
the
living
way
wrong.
we talk, or like the last job I worked at, and honestly I had a horrific experience at that place, an experience so bad that I'm not going to return to work, and I can't get myself into that situation again because I got to the point where I was lashing out at fucking everyone. I mean, I yelled at my brother for someone I've known
Or
my
me.
or Jim or anyone. Like I would just
The dogs.
you didn't yell at me.
Like,
but
random.
I'd beat the shit out of him.
but like I would just blow up and go off on people for no reason. And I'll tell you why. Like I worked for a very, very like touchy-feely company, right? But I wasn't touchy-feely in their way.
That's a
You
whole
know,
other topic.
they-
The culture of business
they
we'll have to bring
needed-
up one time.
They're like, oh, well, we care about you and stuff like that. Yeah, except for the person with fucking severe mental health issues that, by the way, is still probably one of your best fucking cybersecurity professionals in the industry. I got fired because I didn't conform. I didn't speak in meetings the way they wanted me to. I wasn't touchy-feely and huggy to everyone. I had a different life experience than they did. So, you got this person who's been through fucking severe mental trauma who is never been right after that. Like I said, that day that happened, I stopped sleeping and I haven't fucking slept without medication since. At all. And, they're looking at me like, oh, you're not touchy-feely enough. You don't mix with our culture. And I'm like, no, fuck you. You're the one who's alienating me. You're the one because of your stupid fucking culture who's telling me that I'm wrong, and I got fired for it.
Yeah, there is a problem with culture, right? Like it's like the car business; they do this culture of brotherhood, but the moment you don't feel well, the moment you have to stay home, the moment we had a service manager call a technician in the middle of his brother's funeral. This technician's brother died. Called him and say, well, when that funeral's over, I need you back at work.
That is the most
It would
piece
have
of shit thing
taken
you could
the
say
entire
anyone.
fucking shop to pull me off of that human being. I would have just kicked the shit out of him.
The end of that conversation would have been, well, you can go fuck yourself. I quit.
Yeah.
There would have been no other
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
between us. So
Well,
That's-
it depends
Right,
on
and, like,
how.
Yeah, it's
And,
a
like,
rough, yeah.
You know, like something when that happened to me, right? When I was brought into the chief's quarters and I was talking to the chief of the boat, right? And I expected, when I walked in there, I expected that guy to understand because I bared so much for him. I legitimately walked in there expecting some guy to be like, hey man,
We know it's rough.
I'm sorry we got to that point. You need some rest. Go take some rest. Get what you need to get, and then, you know, we can deal with this later. No, and instead I got called a fucking piece of shit, and I got kicked out of that brotherhood, right? The submarine brotherhood. I'm not in it anymore. No one on the boat besides Brandon will ever talk to me. And
Well,
I can,
because he
and
said
most people don't talk to me either.
yeah, right. And it's such a thing. Like how many people on the boat with us live in Phoenix? Like at least 5 that I know
Yeah.
of.
I mean, on my Facebook, there's like at least like 4 or 5.
Yeah, and I've never talked to any of them. I live in the same city as them. I can reach out to them and they'll never talk to me because the brotherhood broke.
Same way with my old dealer.
Yeah.
They, when everything happened with me and I was removed, you know, to my 2 friends, and they're still 2 people I talk to today. One of them moved all the way here just to work with me again. You know, so obviously I was doing something right. And he said it too. He goes, yeah, when I left, after you left, you know, you were let go, and he just up and walked out that day. He's like, no, I'm not doing this. He's the same thing. You're dead. You're dead to them. You are meaningless. You are a horrible human being.
Even though they fired you.
Even though, and they never, you want to know what's shitty is they fired me on a month that we set a record in sales.
Yeah, without.
So they cut off their nose to spite their face.
without ever talking. To you.
No, yeah.
That's the thing is like
They never never
they-
reprimanded me. They never
could-
did anything.
They could have literally
gotta
solved
go.
the entire problem and be like, "Hey Nick, like why are you leaving early? I have a medical issue I have to deal with." Or I mean, even if you'd wanted
I mean,
to
technically, you can't ask
have,
people
and you don't
that.
have to disclose anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I mean, even
say-
if you wanted to, you could
Yeah.
if you wanted to disclose it to them,
Yeah.
you could be like, "I'm doing this," and that would have it could have solved the entire problem.
And to put it
Well,
in,
the same thing happened to me when I got fired from my job last month, right? Like, I got called into a meeting a week before I got fired, and they were like, man, you swear a lot, and that was it. And I was like, yeah, I know, I'm working on it. You know, I'm going to the doctor. You know, I'm going to, you know, like there's, you know, I'm a military veteran, right? Like things have happened. I've seen some shit. I've been through some shit, and like I'm working on it. I don't mean it. Don't get offended by it. Like, if you're offended by my language, I legitimately am sorry. But
it's also
I
why I
think
did not
that's a
punch you that night.
Weird thing anyway, because if you have a job, if you're not dealing with customers, it's a whole different thing. If you're not dealing with customers and you have a job and they care about you cursing is a weird thing to me because younger generations now, I know I curse all the time at work with
the
my
fucking time.
coworkers.
All the
They
fucking time.
they fucking curse all the time to me too. We get on chat and we curse a lot.
I never
But
curse.
it's okay because we're not dealing with customers.
Sure.
If you're dealing with customers, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
You can't be cursing at your customers,
think
but
it's
you could
fuck
probably do it
fuck
to
'em.
each other.
Fuck the customers.
As long as it's not in a bad way. Like if you're not really cursing them out, that's a
well,
different
yeah, there's
thing.
a difference between like
Just
saying
cursing,
fuck while
like,
joking,
you know.
and telling someone to go fuck themselves.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's a lot different. And there's even differences between telling someone to go fuck themselves and telling someone to go fuck themselves. Like,
Yeah.
you can say that completely differently too.
Go fuck yourself, man. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I tell a
joking
guy I work with all the
versus
time to go do
legit.
that, but it's
Yeah.
always a joke.
Or looking at someone and be like, go fuck yourself.
And I think
There's a difference.
And I
There's
think
a
that's
tone.
another generational thing in companies now, which we'll have to do a topic on generational jobs
Yeah,
because
that'll have to come up soon.
it's
That's
a
a
whole
big one
other
of mine.
thing.
Yeah.
And that article you sent us today, we'll definitely have to talk about
Yeah,
it.
that'll probably be like next week.
With-
Next week's topic. But anyway, I think we're gonna wrap for tonight. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure we've gone fucking way over.
It's
what
an
we normally
important topic.
Yeah, it's
do.
And there's a
It's
lot to
very, It's a
say.
very, very
It's a-
personal topic for
It's
all of us.
yeah. All of us here have been through stuff, and we totally understand that everyone else. There are a lot of people out there who've been through stuff, and
Whether it big or small, there's
Yeah.
no problem too small, guys.
it doesn't matter.
If it
And-
affects you, it's important.
and if you need help, get help.
And
Honestly.
it's not about confidence, right? I'm a confident man. Hey, you guys know that. You've been around me. I'm very confident. I always do that. Yeah, I'm dead sexy. It's joking, but I am. You go fuck yourself.
You go fuck yourself too, buddy.
See,
I will
Different tone.
later. No. I'm so lonely. No, I was kidding. But no,
With
I'm
your
a
TV
confident.
dinners. I'm just kidding.
But I'm a confident human being, and a lot of people are like, well, you don't have confidence, therefore that's why you don't date a lot. No, I'm tired of being in the same situation. I mean, Matthew's met all of my exes.
'Cause
It
bitch-
always
bitches
ends
be
up,
tripping.
yeah, bitches be tripping, and then for a while there, I thought, is it me? Is it me? It could be a little bit me, right?
It's probably you.
maybe,
Maybe.
it might be, and like,
But
I,
or am I
I'm
just
sure-
keep meeting the same type of chick, or I keep putting myself in the same position to meet the same kind of chick? Yeah,
Or
then
it's-
that's me.
Or it could
There
be a
is-
little of both.
So I just
There is
said,
no
all right.
relationship that ever ends where it's literally just the one person.
no, it's
I mean, unless
something
it's
of both
a
sides.
physical,
Yeah,
unless it's
and-
physical abuse.
yeah,
Yeah.
unless it's spouse or
But yeah.
If there's
relationship or
if there's an
domestic violence, it's
amicable, like if
different.
there's a split between two people, just in like normal split within a relationship, there's never
No.
any
It's
point where it's
something-
And
just
I
one
will
person.
agree with that. So, what I've always said for me, and to get into another relationship, I got to make sure I'm all the way there. Like, what is my quirk that's chasing people away? And if I find it, I find. If I don't, whatever. I don't give a fuck.
But
Well, to a point, I don't give a fuck.
for people, for people like us that do suffer through mental illness, and we do have issues, it is hard finding someone to talk to
I think that's
because
probably
not
the
everyone
problem.
understands.
But
it.
keep looking.
Yeah,
Just like your
don't-
psychologist, find a new one.
don't
Until you find the
don't
right
stop.
fit.
And if you need
Someone's out there to listen to you.
Yeah, and if you need to talk to somebody, and if you are contemplating suicide, and I understand contemplating suicide, I've been there myself. I was minutes away multiple times when I was going through all that. Honestly, reach out to the suicide crisis line. The phone number is 800-273-8255. And seriously, call and talk to somebody.
There's billions of people out there.
Yeah.
One of them will listen.
There's so many people out there that have been going through what you're going through, and you're not alone.
And if you can't find anyone else, contact us. We'll listen.
Yeah,
Yes.
seriously.
Yeah.
And especially anyone out there that goes through anything like that, all of us at this table, we've gone through shit and we have issues. And yeah, if you feel like, if you want to reach out to us, Shit, I'll talk to you. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I
I'll
don't
talk
work.
to you
I don't
about
do
my
anything.
problems.
I mean,
If you
like,
I
wanna
don't have a
learn
whole lot of
more.
social media, but if you hit him up, he'll give you an email. I mean,
yeah,
it's not
and,
hard.
I honestly, I can put down the
Comment
controller for Final
section.
Fantasy 14.
You'll
and,
find people.
Like, I'll stop playing Final Fantasy 14 and talk to you.
I'll stop working and talk to you.
I would love to stop working and talk to you.
But seriously,
But no.
you guys are not alone, and thanks for sticking with us through all this. I know it was a little
heavy
bit darker episode, but and I know this is going to be posted late. Unfortunately, this is going up Tuesday, which is actually a day after Mental Health Awareness Month ends.
Same difference.
But
It could be 365 days a year, honestly.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't care, right? As soon as I learned that it was Mental Health Awareness Month last week, when Brandon told me, I was like, no, this next episode is going to be that, because there are things, this is an important topic, and I'll put everything else aside and talk about this every fucking time I can.
But next week, why Zelda Breath of the Wild sucks.
Oh, God damn it. Okay, so everyone who just stopped following.
I'm only partially
Yeah,
kidding.
we're gonna have to edit the bottom out.
Yeah, gotta fix all this now. But yeah, that's it for us this week.
We love you guys.
Yeah,
Yep,
thanks
always.
for listening.
Have a good one.
Yeah, like,
Bye.
subscribe, follow.